Now, asking questions is one of the most powerful things you can do in sales. But here's the thing, a lot of salespeople out there get into the habit of asking the wrong questions, which ultimately kills their deals and costs them sales and money. So in this video, we're gonna show you the top 5 stupid questions that are probably costing you sales and money. Hey everybody, what's going on? So in this video, I'm gonna shed light on the 5 top stupid questions that are probably costing you sales and money. And by the end of this video, you're not only gonna know which questions to completely avoid, but I'm also gonna give you an alternative so that you can ask the right questions and close more deals. Now, before we go ahead and get started with this video, make sure you give this video a like if you're excited to hear what these top 5 stupid questions are. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe because I'm gonna be dropping new sales video 2 times per week. And if you want to make sure you get notified, make sure you hit that notification bell. And one quick thing in the comments, go ahead and leave your #1 sales challenge in the comments because I do read every single comment and it helps give me new ideas to make videos for you guys. Now, moving into the top 5 stupid questions. Now, the first stupid question is going to be, is now a good time to chat? Now, this typically happens when you are cold calling, and a lot of people cold calling out there, they ring the phone, they talk to the prospect, and the first thing they say is now a good time to chat. Now, the problem with this is that if you say is now a good time to chat, you open up the opportunity for the prospect or whoever you want to talk to say no, right? Because if you say is now a good time to chat, even though they picked up the phone and they're just taking your call, it doesn't mean they actually want to talk to you. So if you ask that question, they may say no, then you're fighting an uphill battle, and then you're never even going to build a rapport and trust to even get into a selling conversation, and the call will end right there. So instead, what you want to do, especially if you are cold calling, is instead of saying, hey, is now a good time to chat, because that's exactly what you don't want to do, you want to say something like this: hey John, I'm a little lost. Do you mind if I take a second to tell you why I'm calling? And John, whoever you're talking to, is going to say, yeah, sure, what's up? And then you can start the selling process from there. But if you give the prospect an opportunity to say no so quickly, especially at the beginning of the call, then you might actually just kill the deal and the sales meeting right there. But if you kind of just play like, hey, I'm a little lost, like, hey John, I'm a little lost. Do you mind if I take a second to tell you why I'm calling? Then that person is going to be a lot more open to taking your call. So that's going to be one of the top stupid questions when it comes to cold calling. And if you want to see more on cold calling, and I have a video on exactly how to do that, link's going to be somewhere on the screen or down in the description. Now, moving on to stupid question number 2, and that is going to be, are you the decision maker? Now, during any time of the sales process, you want to know who the decision maker is, because if you don't know who the decision maker is, then you can't actually close the deal, right? But the thing is, you want to ask it in a way that's very subtle, and it doesn't really put the prospect in the position where they are more likely to lie to you. For example, if you ask someone directly, are you the decision maker? Most people are just going to say yes, even if they're not the decision maker, right? Because a low-level person always wants to pretend like they're in power, so they'll say, yeah, I can make all the decisions, when in fact they have to get approvals from other people, teams, maybe their bosses, or whatever the case is. Even if the person is actually the decision maker, they may actually not say they're the decision maker because it's a negotiating tactic so that they can use that sometime in the future to lower the price or to get more favorable terms. So instead of asking someone directly, hey, are you the decision maker? And that's kind of off-putting and it's too direct and people don't want to really answer you. Instead, what you can say is, hey, is there anyone else we need to involve before making a decision, right? And you can kind of see here, I'm using a lot of we, and I'm just asking, hey, is there anyone else we need to involve, right? It could be your boss, it could be someone on a whole different team that has to approve it. Whatever the case is, you're not directly saying, hey, are you the person that is going to make the decision? Because that's not, it's too direct, and people feel like they're being attacked. So instead, you want to come off with a more collaborative voice and say, hey, listen, is there anyone else we need to involve before making a decision? And the person is a lot more likely to answer you truthfully and show you exactly how their decision-making process works at the company they work at or the company that they own. All right, so we're gonna move into question number 3, and that is, what do you dislike about your current vendor? Now, here's the thing. When you're having a sales meeting, a lot of times, the prospect or the person you want to sell into is already using maybe your competitor or an alternative, and you're trying to get them to see a different perspective and maybe use your product or service instead of somebody else's, right? Now here's the thing, even if someone is using a competitor already, they don't want to necessarily talk bad about the products that they're already using, right? Because that actually can bite them back in the future. So if you ask somebody, hey, you know, what do you dislike about your current vendor? They're not going to tell you, because why should they tell you, right? Because maybe they're somewhat happy, maybe not everything's perfect, but why should they tell a complete stranger or a salesperson about their problems, right? And you want to think of it like not just in sales, but in everyday regular life. People don't necessarily like to dump their problems on other people. They want to share their problems with people that they can trust in hopes that the other person might be able to give them insight and help them. So in sales, it's the exact same thing. Instead of asking someone, hey, you know, what do you hate about your vendor the most? People don't tell you the answer to that because it's too personal, you haven't built enough trust, and it's too direct of a question. So instead, what we can do is we can ask a different variation of that question and ask, hey, you know, listen, for your current vendor, if you were to give them a 1 out of 10, 1 being, you know, not good at all, and 10 being they're perfect, what would that be? You know, where would they land, right? Something like that. And usually the prospect will either give you a number like 7 or 8 or 9. And all you have to do, no matter what number they give you, is, let's say they give you a 7, right? They say, hey, our current vendor is good, they're a 7, but they're not perfect. All you gotta do as a salesperson is ask, okay, 7's not bad, but you know, I'm just curious, what's actually missing from what they're doing that would get them to a 10? And so if you're asking in this way, you're not saying exactly what they're doing bad, you're just saying, you know, what are the opportunities that they can actually be better in? So if a prospect is already using a competitor and there are some gaps or room for improvements, then you want to see what those gaps are and see if you can actually fill in those gaps, and that will actually lead you to starting a conversation on whether or not you can actually replace your vendor or maybe act as a complement to the vendor and, you know, stack your product or service on top of theirs, and maybe, you know, that's how you might be able to get the sale. Now, if you just want to like talk bad about a current vendor and say, oh, they suck, or oh, you know, they're not good, here's why, people aren't going to trust you because you're just bad mouthing somebody without real reason, because if they chose that vendor, obviously they chose it for a reason. So if you badmouth them, you're not only trying to make that vendor look bad, but you're also trying to say that the prospect made a bad decision, and nobody likes to be wrong. So instead, you just want to say, hey, what are the things that we can actually do better here? You know, so basically you just want to position your product or service as a way to fill in the gaps, and then that's how you're going to be able to sell into companies that already have a competitor in place or act as an alternative to a product or service. All right, so now we are going to move into question number 4, and that is, do you need time to think it over, right? This is one of the most cop-out phrases that you can use in sales when you're nervous or you don't know what to say. And here's the thing, a lot of times prospects or whoever you're trying to talk to, they will tell you that they need more time to think about it, right? So the thing is, a lot of times most prospects already do this, right? So you do not want to prompt them into this phase because time kills most deals. So the more time that passes, the more likely someone is to not buy your product or service, right? You want them to understand exactly what they need to know before making a decision, and try to get them to make a decision quickly, because you know, delaying a deal doesn't do anyone any good, doesn't do you any good, doesn't do them any good, right? If you can actually genuinely help them, why not to make the decision sooner? I'm not saying that you have to force a customer to buy right there on the spot, especially like closing on one phone call, especially if it's a big decision. Most people don't do that. However, you just want to make sure that you don't get the prospect to delay a deal too long. And one of the worst ways to do that is to say, do you need time to think it over? So an alternative question you can ask to get a timeline on when someone is more likely to make a decision and try to shorten that timeline is to ask a simple question like, is there a timeline you have on when you would like to make a decision? So instead of just asking, hey, do you need time to think it over? I'm asking for a specific timeline. They might say 3 days, they might say 1 week, they might say 1 month, right? So if it's, you know, in a range that is reasonable for you, they might say, hey, I can make the decision by the end of the week, and you want to roll with that, then you can go ahead and roll with that and everything's good. Now, if they say something like, hey, I need 2 months to think about it, what you want to do is you want to shorten that timeline, right? Because you want to ask questions like, okay, 2 months, I totally understand where you're coming from, but what exactly needs to happen in those 2 months before you actually make a decision? Because I want to make sure you have all the information you need now, so you don't have to delay anything, right? So basically, if someone tries to give you a long timeline, you want to figure out why exactly they're giving you that timeline, and, you know, give them information that will actually shorten that timeline, because why would you want to waste so much time making a decision when you can make it a lot more quickly? So not only it helps the salesperson and your business because you're generating revenue more quickly, but it also helps the prospect because they don't have to waste time thinking about what they should do, and instead you're giving them all the information they need to actually make the decision a lot sooner. Now we're gonna move into the next question, which is question number 5, and that is, can I send you an email with more information? Now, typically when this happens during a sales meeting, it's usually when the prospect is not really interested and the salesperson doesn't really know what to say or how to handle the objection. So they'll just say, hey, I'll just send you information or more information over email and you can make a decision. Now, here's the thing. Most people, when you send them that email, are never going to make a decision and never gonna persuade them with more information, like especially with case studies or PDF or something like that, because if they're not able to see whether or not they're interested on the phone call with you, with a salesperson, which is your job, then a PDF or something like that is not gonna get the job done either. So instead of just saying like, hey, I'll send you more information, instead what you wanna do is, if somebody asks you like, just send me more information, you wanna say something like, okay, I can send you some more information, but what kind of information exactly are you looking for before you actually know whether or not you can make a decision, right? And by understanding what kind of information someone is looking for, instead of actually sending that information via email, what you can do is talk about it over the phone, because in a sales process, it's not just like you're trying to sell them, you're trying to qualify whether or not they're going to be a good fit for your product or service. So instead of wasting time and delaying deals and sending emails back and forth, over a long period of time, which may result in no sale at all, instead you want to say like, so hey, listen, I want to be real with you and I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time either. So I'm curious to know, what information do you need before you actually make a decision? Because I think these are things that we can actually talk over the phone so we don't have to waste time emailing each other back and forth. Is that okay with you? They're going to say, okay, sure. And then they'll tell you exactly what information they need to know. And you're going to figure out right there on that call whether or not they are a qualified prospect, someone who is qualified to purchase your product or service. Or if they're not, totally fine. You just move on to the next person. But if they are, then you can continue the sales process without having to delay anything by sending emails back and forth. So with that said, those are gonna be the 5 most common stupid sales questions that may be costing you sales and money. Make sure you avoid these questions at all costs, and if you already have the habit of asking these bad questions, go ahead and replace them with the alternatives that I already gave you in this video. And if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give this video a like, because every like does help this video reach new audiences. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because I'm gonna be releasing 2 new videos every single week. And in the comments, let me know what your #1 sales challenge is, because I'm gonna be making videos based on the comments and feedback that I get, and I wanna make quality content just for you. With that said, that's it for this video, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.